Hi everyone. As somebody who only started YouTube just over a year ago, one of the areas that I have really struggled is the creation of YouTube thumbnails. Possibly it's one of the most important aspects of creating the video, as the thumbnail is the thing that entices people to watch your videos. When I first started, I thought writing the title of the video and having the channel logo would be good enough, and in some cases I didn't bother and let YouTube decide the thumbnail. Some of those videos have actually done quite well, but the thumbnail didn't really help the process. So the spoiler alert here is I am still very bad at creating thumbnails, and a lot of people would outsource this to people with expertise. But this channel isn't about making money or losing money, it's about teaching about Linux, and along the way I learned some new skills such as video editing. I'm a software developer, and worse than that I prioritise the back end, and this is largely because of my lack of artistic skills. So in this video I'm going to show you how not to create a YouTube thumbnail using GIMP. The video will show you what I do to create my thumbnails, my thought process, the sheer lack of capability with GIMP. For those of you who struggle like me, there is a better solution, and I will provide that solution later on in the video. The way I start off is I think of the video that I'm going to create, and as many YouTube experts suggest, I start off by creating the thumbnail as soon as I have the title and concept for the video. Now in the past I always did it the other way around, but I'm beginning to learn about these things. At the moment I'm running a series of reviews called A Month On, where I review a different Linux distribution over the course of a month. The current month is for Fedora Linux, and with a couple of weeks left I thought it would be good to create the thumbnail now. So my concept for the logo is the Fedora logo, a calendar showing a month, and a title for the video. How they would all fit together at this point I don't know. My first port of call is usually pexels.com. The reason being it has a great selection of royalty-free photos and videos. Now as you know, a fedora is a type of hat, and if you think of Fedora Linux's beginnings, it was an offshoot of Red Hat Linux, and therefore somebody wearing a red fedora would be great. So I searched for red fedora and then just fedora, and downloaded a few images. And I also searched for a calendar and downloaded a couple of calendar images. The main issue with photos from Pexels is that they have a background, and whilst you can remove the background using GIMP, I do not possess that ability, and this is something I definitely plan to learn. So instead I head over to remove.bg, and all you have to do is upload the image and it removes the backgrounds for you. Finally I needed a Fedora logo, and the Wiki Commons page has a perfectly good image that I could use. So the tool I'm using is GIMP. It is free on Windows and Linux, and as this is a Linux based channel, the only tool that any sane person would really use. Now YouTube images are 1280 by 720 pixels, and so I created a new image, and I initially set the background to the wrong colour, but then I got it right at the second attempt. And then I imported all the images that I downloaded as new layers, and then I hid them. Now at this point I didn't have a clear idea what I would create, so I dragged the Fedora icon into the bottom right corner, and then I added the calendar. And as you see, the trouble with the calendar is that there are loads of other things around it. Now I've seen people add things called masks and then remove these items easily, and they possess skills that I just do not have. So I used more of a sledgehammer approach. I zoomed in, I selected around the items, and I deleted them. I then zoomed back out, realised I misaligned the background, and I realigned it. I then spent some time aligning the calendar, Fedora icons, and then I added one of the ladies wearing a red hat onto the image. And my initial attempt sees me lining the lady, the calendar, Fedora icon in a horizontal row. It looks okay, but it is fairly bland. So now I decided to add some text in, and the one thing I've heard is the title should be no more than 4 words. Luckily my video is about a month on Fedora, so I simply put a month on Fedora. I spend some time fumbling around with positioning and font sizes, but the thing I like is I like my text to have a black border around it, and so I use my new friend ChatGPT to help me work out how to add a border around the text. So text to path, select and grow, add a new visible layer, fill with black, not like that, like this, and then done. But it is really bland. I know, however, there is another image of a girl sitting on a chair, and I figure that I can make use of that image. I want to remove the other lady, but realise that in all my messing around with layers that something went wrong and I can't remove her, so after quite some time I end up at the blank canvas with just the text showing. So I re-add the Fedora logo and the calendar, and I add in the lady on the chair. Now this is a month on, so I thought maybe she should sit on the month and position her above the calendar, and this also helped remove the chair. It didn't really work, and in any case she isn't a month on the calendar, she's a month on Fedora, so really she should sit on the Fedora logo. I therefore decided to remove the chair, and with the art of zooming in and a bit of butchering with the select tool, I managed to remove the chair. I try her once more on the calendar before realising the Fedora logo would work better. However, she has no feet, and so I wanted to hide this fact, and so I thought, let's put her on the right. I then flipped her around, but obviously that didn't help the problem with the missing feet. So I thought, if I put the calendar in front of her feet, that solves the problem. A bit of trial and error later, and she is in position, and the calendar is doing its job of not making me look like a psychopath. It felt like the picture was missing something and didn't quite have the balance, and so I experimented with one of the other pictures before settling back to the original lady with the hat looking inwards. And here is the finished article. It isn't great, but it's far better than my original attempts from more than a year ago. I really need to brush up on my GIMP skills. There are lots of tutorials on YouTube to help with this, and ChatGPT and Gemini are good resources as well. Now at the beginning I promised a solution for those of you who struggle with GIMP, like I do, and that resource is Canva. Now Canva takes away the hassle with layers and text. You also have more choice with fonts and text styles and elements and lots of other things. GIMP is great for people who are artistic and who know what they are doing, and if you are an amateur YouTuber like myself, then you can kind of get away with the thumbnails that I create, but they're not great, and I'll never be Mr. Beast. So what do you think about YouTube thumbnails? Do they entice you, or is it more about the title of the video? Let me know in the comments, and whilst this video has been a distraction from the normal Linux content, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Everyday Linux User.